Raids are the newest feature to be added to War of the Visions, and in this video, guys, we're going to be tackling the best ways to go about preparing your party, whether it's going to be for the current raid as this video releases or every future raid in the future. We're going over the mentality that you should have when and giving you all the tips that you need to utilize to beat these raids as you get to those higher levels, rank 50, 60, 70, 80, and 100 plus. But before we get into that, guys, I want to let you know that this video is indeed sponsored by Amazon Coins in the Amazon App Store. If you guys do make in-game app purchases for War of the Visions or other mobile titles, do use the Amazon App Store. I've always used the Amazon version of all the different mobile games I've played. You can save up to 20% on your in-app purchases. So if you are someone who does spend on these games, then this is definitely the place to be. It's where I've been for multiple years now. It's where I make all of my in-app purchases, and it's a fantastic place, tried, tested, and true by yours truly here for you guys. There's a link in the description of the video down there for a full detailed guide on how to actually install it. In case you need that assistance, that's down there for you, as well as a link in the description for our UK viewers and players where you can get up to 500 Amazon coins, which is a €5 value for you guys for free for your first in-app sort of little bit of spectacular, little bit of intro to the Amazon App Store. So check it out, guys. Thank you guys so much for the support, and let's get into the content for you. Guys, thanks for spending a little bit of your time here today as we go over this video, and thank you guys for the support via Patreon as well as YouTube channel membership. So let's dive into it here. What should you be doing for raids? Well, every raid is going to be specialized towards a certain sort of damage type, whether it's like this one here where it's weak to magic and missile damage, or maybe future raids that are weak to piercing or striking or even slashing damage. There's a lot of things that you can do to get the most out of your party, and that's what we're talking about today, guys. So early on, right as you're leveling up your raid, level 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, you can kind of go about the raid however it is that you choose, as long as you guys are coordinated and you are doing the most amount of damage that you can do. The raid isn't really all that difficult, but as you start leveling your raid up to the higher tiers, the teamwork that you are going to be utilizing is very important when building your team and going about the certain mechanics that War of the Visions has to increase your damage by a whole bunch. This includes chaining, as well as knowing how to best utilize the turn order mechanic that we have in the game, the CT gauge. So let's go over what we need to be doing when we're thinking about the ideas that we're doing for multiplayer in this raid. So if you're going about the higher tiers, you're going to have a different sort of party setup, right? You may have seen it already. You get into a room and it's a bunch of missile type units, or it's a bunch of magic type units, or it's a bunch of even slashing type units, etc., etc. This is because these characters are able to build type change as well as elemental chains, and this is where a large majority of the damage is coming from. We're going to be talking about that as well. So if you see one of these rooms, that is pretty much the sort of strategy that they're going to go with there. So each character that you have is going to be utilized in a different sort of strategy, whether it's going to be the slashing, magic, or missile type. But on top of that, not only is the character that you're bringing to your party important, the party cards that you are bringing are important as well. Remember, party card abilities do not stack with each other, and so you're going to want to utilize a bunch of different cards to gain the most effect out of your party. If someone has a missile party attack up card and you're doing a missile party, if you all are doing a sort of similar element, right, like right now with the Lucia parties, you have the missile attack up card, someone should bring the wind attack up card, someone should bring a attack percent up card, and then if you're in a raid where you have a card that gives you a certain killer advantage buff, like we have with the Greetings from Afar card with Aqua Killer up. If you're fighting an Aqua monster, you should put that on as well. It might not help you out that much, but it's going to give your entire party additional Aqua Killer. Now, the other thing, as you are going up through the raid tiers, not only does the HP of the raid boss increase, but so does all of its other stats. And another very important stat that the raid is going to be getting over time is agility, and this is going to make it so the boss takes way more turns than it used to at lower levels. To combat this, you're also going to want to try to gear your characters for as much agility as possible. If you have an accessory with some agility on it, that is going to be your best friend. If you have a card that gives your entire party agility, someone should try to be putting on the Scion of House Beowulf card. If you have access to this, it's going to make it so your team can kind of keep up with the boss, and the boss doesn't get too many turns in comparison to your team, and this is going to allow you to keep those chains built up. And remember guys, the best sort of meta team composition for a particular raid won't really be necessary until you get to the very high levels of a particular raid. And with that sort of information out there for you guys, so you have the mentality behind team building with the party cards and matching each other's damage types and elemental types, let's get into the actual function of chaining and why these sort of party compositions are so powerful and why you should be going and gravitating towards these sort of parties. This is going to be the chaining mechanic. Remember guys, chaining is when you match either an element or a damage type or both, right? You can build up your chains, and what does a chain do? It gives you a % damage increase. It's around 20-ish% per type damage and elemental damage, and this will go away when the monster takes an action. This is why the agility stat increase that the monster is getting as you're going up higher and higher levels is so detrimental to the amount of damage that you can produce in a raid, because the faster the monster is in comparison to you, the more quickly it's going to get its turns, and when it takes its turn, your ability to chain on it is going to go away. So how do we combat this outside of just making our characters faster, as well as reducing the enemy's agility? This is the best way to build up your chains, and this is going to be remembering that this mechanic exists, that the boss is going to actually lose it when it takes its turn, and you're going to want to build up your AP in preparation for everyone to be dumping their skills at the same time. There's a lot of times that I've gone into raids and, you know, people just start attacking the boss right away before it takes its turn, right before the monster takes its turn. You do not want to dump all of your AP in there. You're going to spend the first couple of turns in the raid attacking the adds, using buffs to build AP, let the monster take a couple of actions, and then if all of you are doing this, you're all going to have, you know, 40, 50 AP, and you're going to be ready to go. 2 of you are going to use some chain building moves. The other 2 of you are going to use your high damaging abilities. Maybe there are multi-hit abilities, but whatever skill you have that has the highest multiplier, so you can hit 9,999. And then the boss is going to take its turn, and you're going to repeat that action. Now remember, if you are in a party composition where you all do share elements, your auto attack does not share an element. So if you are in the middle of a high elemental matching type chain, right, and you auto attack it, you are going to break the elemental chain. And if there were people that were going to go after you that still had AP, you're going to reduce their damage significantly. So you're going to have to weigh your options. It's going to be better for you in those situations to not auto attack the boss, maybe auto attack an ad, maybe walk over to your party, cast a buff, you'll gain AP, you'll buff them back up, and they'll be able to utilize their AP to do elemental type damage to the boss here. So a quick reminder on how the CT gauge in the system works here. Every single round in between turns, and this can happen multiple times, there's going to be something that we are going to call a speed cycle. You're going to gain CT, everyone in the party, every enemy. This is going to happen at the same time for them. You're going to gain CT equal to 10% of your agility. So if you have 100 agility, you gain 10 CT. If you have 50 agility, you gain 5 CT. This happens for everyone at the same time. As soon as you or an enemy hits 100 or above CT, they will take their turn. If someone didn't get to 100 or above CT, you will do immediately another speed cycle. It happens so fast that it's pretty much behind the scenes, and you never really see this happen before your eyes. What happens then is when something gains a turn, you will always lose 60 CT, even if you do nothing. So if you gain a turn, you stand there, you do nothing, you take no other action, you will lose 60 CT. If you move, that will cost you 20 CT, and if you take an action, that will cost you 20 CT. Since we're trying to gain turns as fast as possible, this means that if you're trying to do damage to the boss and you're trying to keep your turn order as fast as possible in comparison to the bosses, you're going to want to try to move as little as possible, because moving and taking an action costs you 100 CT, which means your turn comes back the slowest rate possible. But simply taking an action and standing still only costs you 80 CT. You're gonna have basically, you'll be 1/5 of your way to your next turn there. That's going to be a very powerful mechanic to realize, to utilize. There's too many times that I've seen people attack and then move for no reason when they didn't have to move. Everyone needs to try to go as fast as possible in the raid to maintain these chains. The last thing that you can bring to a raid is a thief type class. Certain thieves are going to be faster than other ones, right? the lower rank the thief is, right? An R rank thief or an N rank thief, they're gonna have a lower agility. The thief's job is to be a utility type character, buff up the party's agility, buff up their attack or magic if they have a TMR such as that, and then utilize the steal time action to lower the boss's CT by half while giving the thief a little bit of an agility buff as well. When properly executed, a utility-based thief is a huge damage increase for the entire rest of the party on these higher tier raids. It can be a little bit of a stressful job as the thief because you need to utilize your abilities 100% efficiently and effectively. You need to know how the CT system works. You need to know how best to utilize it. And not only do you need to be able to perform your role correctly, it is very important that everyone else needs to know how to play with a thief as well. It is not that difficult to adapt to playing with a thief, but if you are doing everything incorrectly, auto attacking, breaking chains, you know, dumping your AP as soon as you get into an encounter, the thief is actually going to be relatively worthless in these encounters because the sole purpose of that thief is to allow you to continuously build your chains up on the boss, and hopefully if the thief is fast enough, the boss will actually never actually get to take a turn, which allows you to build up your chains nearly indefinitely in a properly executed team composition. This is very, 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 very important. A lot of the thief's role is to make your party go as fast as possible, including themselves, and then lowering the speed of the boss with that steal time. So you're going to have a lot of effective thieves out there using some sort of agility up card, using even something like Mont's TMR for the agility buff. Guys, get in there, make sure you stay somewhat grouped up together so you can hit each other's with your buffs, get those agility buffs from your support thief if you're playing with a thief, and really just take a look at the turn count. Make sure that you are ready to go. Make sure the boss isn't going to be taking a turn before you start firing off all of your chaining skills, because if you do this wrong, it's going to be relatively worthless. But if you pull it off, you're going to be hitting some extraordinarily high numbers, 9,999 multiple times, multiple hits. The boss is just going to sit there like a silly putty, and this is where you're going to be aiming your effective party compositions. Everyone's going to have the right cards, everyone's going to know what to do, and this is what a party fully optimized is going to look like. Sitting in the right spots, moving only when needed, getting ready to build up those big chains, and then the thief is going to get in there and steal time. It is going to be relatively effective with higher rank thieves, right? You can do something like Mia, like the SR thieves, right? You can get those pretty fast with the right gear, but they are going to be outsped by the higher UR thieves. Particularly something like Ziza is the fastest thief currently available, and if you see someone with Ziza who has the right stuff set up and they know exactly what they're going to be doing there, it's going to be a very, very, very fun time for you guys in your raids there. So hopefully this was a quick TLDR on what you guys need to be doing and showing you guys with the action in game what it's going to be looking like there when going after a raid in War of the Visions. Chaining is very, very, very possible and powerful when done correctly. It's a good time out there. If you want to see more stuff like this, guys, on the channel, you're going to go ahead, hit that subscribe button, turn the notification bell on. Obviously, traditional YouTube stuff, but stay safe out there, guys. Have fun, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, guys.